If you're thinking about moving to Tennessee, Franklin is probably one of the towns that you've heard about. It's one of the most iconic small towns in the entire state. And the reason for that is, one, because it's got just a super charming small town downtown area, but it also has a ton of amenities as far as kind of the amenities that you would expect associated with a larger city metro. And the reason for that is, if you look at it on the map, just to dive in here real quick, you have Franklin that sits right here. That's the downtown Franklin area. And then you have Nashville right here. So Franklin's just about 30 minutes away from downtown Nashville. But what a lot of people don't realize is you have an area called Cool Springs right here that's actually right in Franklin. Cool Springs is a huge commercial development with actually several national headquarters. You have the Nissan headquarters there. Dave Ramsey has his headquarters there. So there's a ton of job opportunities in Franklin. And then on this south side of Nashville, it's one of the most affluent areas of Tennessee with those historic suburbs, absolutely incredible, estate style homes on some of these properties. So that's a really nice area. And then Williamson County overall. So Franklin is the county seat of Williamson County, and Williamson County overall is another one of the most affluent areas in the state. And, kind of Nashville has that south part of Nashville, very affluent area. And then Franklin and all of Williamson County is another area that has, just a ton of different amenities. It has some of the top rated schools in the state. It has some of the top communities just with beautiful homes. There's a ton of golf courses in the area. So absolutely beautiful area. And there's a ton of amenities there that it has to offer. But then the thing that is just so unique about Franklin is, even along with all those different amenities, as you zoom in here, you can see it really still has that historic downtown square. So this is that historic downtown square, developed back in the early 1800s. And this is kind of a destination area for people, that live in the area that want to have that historic small town Tennessee feel. And so you can live in this area with all these amenities associated with the larger Nashville metro, and then come in here to this downtown area, and it's just this quaint, charming, small town that kind of brings you back to that historic feel. So it's really cool because of that combination of those two different things. And then in this downtown area specifically, you're gonna have a ton of different cool stuff to do, a lot of really great shopping. Then you're also gonna have good restaurants, you're gonna have coffee shops, and a lot of stuff to do in that downtown area. So that's an area that if you live nearby, you're actually just gonna wanna go hang out there. A lot of people that are moving to Tennessee, they wanna get away from some of the huge cities. People moving from LA, people moving from Chicago, New York, or some of the larger cities, even in Florida or Texas. You want to get away from those larger cities. And so Franklin is cool because it has a lot of the stuff that people want to do. Get into the downtown and kind of have that walkable area, have the shopping and all the other stuff to do. But it's just a small town rather than trying to go into LA or Chicago or something. So a very quiet area and very small compared to those big cities where a lot of people are moving from. And by the way, Nashville itself, population just over 2 million. So if you're moving from New York or LA, some of those huge cities, Nashville itself is going to feel, fairly small. That is all, that combination of stuff is kind of really what makes Franklin stand out for so many people. But I'll dive in here and show you a little bit more specifically how Franklin is laid out. One of the important things to know is, in Tennessee, when you have a town in a county, sometimes you're going to have a lot of areas of that county that are not actually within the city limits. But since Franklin is the county seat, you have Franklin right here, and that's not obviously exact city limits, but the city limits are not all that spread out. But then you have all these areas, over through here that are just kind of out in the county, but they still get a Franklin address because they don't have, their own town associated with them. So one of the things to think about when you're looking at homes, if you just look on Zillow or something and you're looking at all these Franklin homes, just because it has a Franklin home, that doesn't mean that it's right there in town. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There are some incredible communities that are over here in this area that are just a little bit more rural, and some of them aren't even rural, but they get a Franklin address, but they might be 25 minutes to get into Franklin, versus the ones that are right there in town are also going to have a Franklin address. So that's just something to know. All the county schools are going to be highly rated, so that's usually not as much of a concern for people. But if that is something you're considering, just make sure you understand, what town, or if you're going to be just in the county. So just make sure you understand that. But then the layout of Franklin itself, you have the downtown area right here. And one more cool thing in downtown that I didn't mention, you have an area called the Factory. And the Factory is an old factory building that's been converted into a really cool indoor shopping area, kind of like an indoor shopping mall. But it's going to be a much cooler vibe than your typical indoor shopping mall. You're going to have, all the stuff that you would expect in a Franklin shopping mall. You're going to have great restaurants, great shopping, high-end shopping. You're going to have, local places. You're going to have coffee shops, all that kind of stuff. And it's just a really cool, very Franklin type place. So the Factory is just right outside of downtown. So those are two cool hangout spots. You have downtown itself. You have the Factory right there. And then as you get over here on this west side, this is a very rural area. So you can drive out from downtown Franklin 5 to 10 minutes and just be in this farmland. So right through here, you can see that's kind of a lot of farmland. Up through, this area over here, you get into kind of these rolling hills and a lot of wooded area. And it's really kind of cool to be able to be in this downtown area with these large commercial areas, and then just 5 minutes away on the other side out in this rural setting. Over here on the other side, you have Cool Springs. Cool Springs is going to be just a few minutes out from downtown Franklin. Cool Springs is that large commercial development, and you actually have some more commercial areas that kind of stretch down that way. But through here, you're going to have really everything that most people are looking for. You're going to have everything from Costco, Whole Foods, Sprouts Farmers Market, Trader Joe's, and really everything else that any major city in the country has. So a lot of people think, well, you're 30 minutes out from the city, maybe you're not going to have all the amenities of, a bigger city. But this area has so many different shopping options that it really has pretty much everything that most people are looking for. You're also going to have, I think, 5 or 6 Publix grocery stores in the Franklin area. Super convenient. I mean, if you want to get over to, your Sprouts Farmers Market or your Whole Foods, you're going over to the Cool Springs area and then that area just south of it. But within really this area surrounding it, I think you literally have 5 or 6 Publix. You have, some Kroger's, you have other grocery stores. So, whether you live up here, there's a Publix right up here, there's a Publix right down here. There's a Kroger right over here. So wherever you live, you're going to be just a couple minutes away from a nice grocery store. You're going to be 15 minutes away from a Costco and a Whole Foods. So a lot of different amenities right there in town. And then as far as the neighborhoods themselves, there are so many different cool, unique options for Franklin. So starting out right around the downtown area, you're going to have a lot of those historic homes. And this is going to be an area where, if you want to buy a historic home and have that walkability to downtown, or, just have a couple minute drive to get into downtown, it's an area where with a lot of small towns, they don't get kept up as well. You might be able to find a really cool historic home, next to the town square, but 5 out of 10 homes on your street might be kind of run down. Well, Franklin, the surrounding area is just so well kept up, so well maintained, beautiful historic homes. So around that downtown area, you get that really nice, really well kept up historic area. And then as you move out on, really on all the sides, you're gonna have some areas of more new development. Over here towards this side, you're gonna have some areas with those new neighborhoods. Pretty much all the neighborhoods around this area are gonna be, really pretty, well maintained. Over on this side, you're gonna have some of the more typical new neighborhoods with lot sizes that are a little bit smaller. Over towards this side, where you have a little bit more space, you're going to have some neighborhoods with homes on larger lots. You're going to have more privacy. Some of these areas out here, you're actually going to have neighborhoods with homes on 5, 10 acre lots, tons of privacy, kind of those estate size lots with estate size homes. And the price range for those is going to be anywhere from 4 or 5, maybe up to 10 million. For those more common neighborhoods. Now, of course, there are some really large estate homes in Williamson County. They're going to be even more than 10 million, but there are a lot of options in this area if you want to get a really nice new home on a large piece of property. So that's really cool as well. And then that along with the historic downtown area. And then the other thing that you have is a really nice planned community. And the planned community, the planned communities are the ones that have all the amenities built right there into them. So you have a planned community right here called West Haven. West Haven has the golf course there. It has all the tennis courts, pickleball courts, the pool, but then it also has a large grocery store right there in the community. It has other businesses, restaurants. So it really has everything right there in the community. You can drive your golf cart everywhere around. So you can get to your on your golf cart to literally anything that you could really need on a weekly basis. And it's just about 5 minutes out from downtown. So Franklin has this cool combination with the historic area, the areas with homes on these large lots, beautiful areas with tons of privacy. It has the planned community with West Haven, and then it has some of those more typical newer neighborhoods, although even those more typical newer neighborhoods in Franklin are typically very high-end, very nice neighborhoods. And then of course, as you move out from kind of the city of Franklin into the surrounding county and just the other parts of Williamson County, you have a lot more options for homes, whether it's more established neighborhoods, newer neighborhoods, and still have that relative close proximity to get into Franklin with a 20 to 30 minute drive. So there's a couple neighborhoods down towards the south that are incredible new planned communities with golf courses and the other amenities built in. You have the Grove, and then you have Troubadour, and those are in a small town on the south side called College Grove. But those two communities are in the south side of Williamson County, and so you'd be driving up to Franklin for a lot of your stuff that you need in town. But those are just a couple of examples of some of the really nice planned communities that are in other parts of Williamson County. So this is a really unique area that offers a unique combination of the small town feel, all the amenities that really anybody could want. It has the planned communities. It has the communities with large pieces of property, large estate lots. So really an area that checks the boxes for so many people that are looking to get out of the jam-packed areas around Chicago or LA or some of the larger cities in Texas or Florida, but they still want a ton of the amenities that go along with the larger cities. So Franklin is honestly kind of like the ideal place to offer that combination of different things. And by the way, if you're wondering who I am, my name is Forrest McCullough, and my real estate team has helped hundreds of people make the move to Tennessee, and we've helped a lot of people from those different cities that I mentioned. And so I've heard feedback from so many people of the different things that they're looking for, and Franklin really checks the boxes for a lot of people with the small town feel, with all the amenities that it offers. And it's really one of the top areas in the state to kind of get that combination of different things. And by the way, if you are thinking about making the move to Tennessee and you want to see how my team can help, we would love to talk with you and help you evaluate these different areas like Franklin and talk about some of the other towns around Tennessee and help you figure out which one would be the best fit for you and help you make that move to Tennessee, finding the best community that would be the best fit for you and finding that perfect new home. So the easiest way to connect with us is to book a Zoom call with us by scanning the QR code on the screen here, clicking the link in the description, or you can simply shoot us a text at the number on the screen here. That QR code and link will just take you to a calendar page where you can simply choose a day and a time that works for you and book a call with us. We can start walking you through these different areas, helping you understand which would be the best fit for you, and then help you make that move to Tennessee. So if that sounds like it would be helpful for you, feel free to book a call by scanning the QR code, clicking the link in the description, or simply shooting us a text at the number that is on the screen here. We would love to connect with you. And other than that, I will see you on the next video.